Hello there, and welcome to episode 31. Today, we're going to talk about embrace beginning, right? Embracing being a beginner. So, what I want to share with you is that I am where I am in my coaching business, which is really hysterical right now because what I want is to have a better microphone. And if you could literally see my setup right now, remember, we are living in my mother in law's lake house, and I don't really have an office. And so the things that I need for lighting and for sound, and I don't really have. And I hear over and over and over from students in the Christian Life Coach Academy and clients in my private mastermind, Christian Life Coach Mastermind, just how grateful they are that I started before I was ready. And one of the things that I really wanted ready was my environment. Right now is not ideal. Like, I'm just hopeful that the sound is going to continue to come through the way it's supposed to for this podcast, because the way that I have to set it up, I'll be honest, I can't really even see what's going on. It's so bizarre. I'm very close up. If you're watching this live or on YouTube, I'm very close to the screen, which is like, hello, head, because that's what picks up the sound best. And so I just want you to know that I am in my coaching business right where it is today as a beginner. And yes, you may be like, oh, but you're so far along in impact and in income. And you're right, I am. But I'm also still a beginner because I know each and every day with each and every idea, with each and every client, and each and every podcast, and each and every funnel that I test or idea for marketing or emails, all the things, there is something brand new, just as though I were beginning for the first time each and every day. There's always a new lesson for me to learn. There's always a new experience. There is always a new person connecting. It's always new, always beginning. I'm always a beginner. And I want you to hear me say that, so that you will have the encouragement and the courage to embrace being a beginner as well. One of the things that I never did from the beginning was, even though I wanted to rush and sometimes still do and be further along than I am, with everything, every failure that I tested and implemented. And I say failure because it's truly just a failure until it's successful. Every time I implemented something new that I had just learned by YouTube or by Google or what have you, I um I would always believe, like, I am just trying. I am experimenting. I don't really know how this is going to turn out, but I'm willing to test it and I'm willing to be a beginner. So, once again, I consider myself a beginner 5 years into this whole online business situation. Multiple niches, multiple business models, and multiple six figures later, there is one thought that has kept me going, trying, failing, and succeeding. And that thought is, this is just the beginning. And the way that you would carry in that thought into every idea, every consult, every social media post, every new experience or skill you acquire in your business journey of life coaching is to truly embrace it. Embrace being a beginner. Will it be uncomfortable? Yes. Scary? Yes. Confusing? Yes. Frustrating? Very. Exhausting? A lot of the times, but keep embracing it. When you don't embrace being a beginner, you're going to start and stop and compare yourself to others, and then just have yourself convinced that it's just not meant for you. But when you do embrace being a beginner, you're going to have your head down, learning your lessons, failing your failures, and building your business by serving your clients one implemented idea at a time. So I want you to keep beginning. That is the exact path to impact. It's the exact path to income. And that's how you create the exact path to your dreams, one beginning at a time. Have I said that clearly enough? See, we don't think we have options, right? We think that the only way to get there is through stress and through striving and beating up ourselves along the way. And it's simply just because we have been believing these same old terrible stories that we've told ourselves throughout the years as it relates to our failure and not being further along and not um, being more of an expert after, especially if you put a ton of time or money or what's the word I'm looking for? Growth into something else that didn't come to fruition, right? You think that's going to be the same way here. And now is the time to actually start over as a beginner in a new way of thinking about your goals, about your business, about your dreams and your desires through coaching. And when we do that, when we, oh my goodness, the dog. Hold on, everybody. I got to get her out of here. Okay, I am back, sort of. I was like trying to get into this podcast recording situation, and now all the dogs are starting to stir. So, pardon the break, everyone. We are back. And as I was saying, is that those thoughts and stories keep us from taking steps toward our dreams, toward our ideas, and ultimately our goals. So when we hold this new thought as a beginner, if you haven't thought this thought before, then you're a beginner at thinking this thought, which is, I can embrace being a beginner. And when we think that thought and believe that thought, we actually give ourselves the freedom and the courage to automatically eliminate indecision because you're taking that next step forward, believing in your ability to eliminate perfectionism. Because if you are perfect at something, then you're no longer a beginner. So that's how you do that. And then we just begin. Okay. So I want to ask you today, coach, where can you begin today? Is it going to be with your thoughts? Is it going to be with taking action as a beginner? What is something that feels or is new that you can do now? I want you to go and do that thing. That is the thing, the next step that you need to do right now as a beginner, because that is actually how you create the impact and the income and reach the dreams and the desires and the goals that you have as a coach is by doing one new thing at a time. And even when you start doing things that aren't new, right? Like, because, okay, this is not my first time recording a podcast, but it still feels new every single time. And so when I come into that, especially if you could see this setup right now and the situation with the dogs happening behind the scenes, like it feels very much like a beginner situation here for me. So that is just one way that I continue to take steps in my business is through this beginning situation. Another thing that I see coming up with clients and in parenting is a lot of times when we think about being the beginner and not being as far ahead or not being as qualified in skill level or in experience, we have a tendency to also associate that with being less than. And so, what also will come up when you are not experiencing and embracing being a beginner with each and everything that you do, even if you've done it a lot, still embrace that as a beginner, because then what you're doing is you're not holding yourself to this standard that really limits the amount of creativity and inspiration and value, honestly, that you will bring to the work that you're doing. Does that make sense? And this is another thing that we do in the Christian Life Coach Academy is we coach on thoughts. Now, if you're not familiar with the academy, I'm not going to go into all of the specifics right now in terms of what is in the program for you as it relates to some of these business things that can seem very overwhelming and just like, yeah, I have this humongous passion and desire to coach, but I just don't really know how to communicate that so that I can let people know and actually have clients. And then you kind of trail even further downward and think, okay, but if I actually have clients, I don't know how to really price it or invoice it or all the things. And so what ends up happening is we have that thought that's the opposite of a beginner. Well, if I was really meant for this, or if I was really called to this, I wouldn't be confused about that. I would know how to do that part. And since I don't, then I'm just going to quit. And so, what I want for you to take with you today is, whew, y'all, I just almost knocked all my setup. I've got things leaning on my computer. I mean, it is quite a situation. Okay, but we're all here. We're all good. Woohoo! Okay. But what I really, really want you to do is I really want you to evaluate just the last week or the last month in your business and really look back over everything that you haven't accomplished and ask yourself, what would I have done differently if I had approached that consult or that conversation about me being a coach and helping people, or this, thing I was trying to implement on the back end that I couldn't figure out. What if I had just approached that with the thought of, I'm a beginner at this. Of course, it's going to take time. Of course, it's going to be really interesting as I'm figuring this out. Of course, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And what that's going to do is it's really going to just honestly kind of mellow out your nervous system so that you can actually keep going. I don't have my journal in front of me today, but I kind of woke up with some of those like overwhelming thoughts. And like I said, I in the even in the business that I have now, I still embrace that idea of being a beginner because that's what gives me the courage and the motivation and the inspiration and just the willingness to go and do that thing. Currently, I'm actually working if you're following them on social media, I kind of mentioned this, but I am working on a concept that I'm actually going to be delivering to my mastermind clients in October. And that is literally why I just kind of changed the setup of my podcast and what I'm doing, because I know for me, implementing this new strategy as it relates to content creation and purposing is literally going to transform my own business. So if I can give this to my mastermind ladies, some of them are scaling a group program, some of them haven't quite gotten started, but this is even going to be beneficial to them. It's going to be beneficial to one of my clients in the mastermind who has a very large engaged Facebook page. Those are really difficult to create these days. Yes, even though there are people out there that are like, oh, I help you create this ginormous Facebook page in 30 days or less, which maybe they do, but it depends on your audience size. So she's been able to create that. So even this concept that I'm testing now, it doesn't make sense. I can't explain it right now. That I'm going to teach them next month is new for me, right? I'm beginning this. And so that gives me room to improve it and make it better as I teach in the 5 shifts to your coaching business. The 5 shifts to growing your coaching business are going to require this level of implementation and failure and evaluating and revising what you learn from this thing that you test so that you can commit those revisions and go out and do it again. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's what I teach. And that's how I coach. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you today because we all have to be reminded no matter where we are in our business, every day is something new. So every day we're a beginner. And what that means about your business in terms of impact and income is that if today is just the beginning, just think of how far you get to go and what that's going to look like for your dreams and for your family, especially as it relates to income that you desire to create through your life coaching business. So I hope you find yourself encouraged today. I do want you to ask yourself, when can you begin as a beginner today? No matter how much you've already tried, no matter how much you've already failed, no matter how frustrated you are, if you change that thought, I can embrace being a beginner. I'm new at this. This is just the beginning. How will your actions look differently? And what will those actions be today so you can go out and do that thing one beginning at a time? So I'm so thankful that you're here. Just remember, if you are ready to make your first 3K or 30K in your life coaching business, I want you to join the waitlist for the Christian Life Coach Academy, which is my lifetime access program with weekly live group coaching and daily written coaching. Someone new actually joined a few weeks ago, and she had been very new to me. So she hadn't heard everything. She didn't know that part. And so we were on a live group coaching call, and somebody was talking about the Facebook group, and we were talking about showing up for coaching there. And she was like, wait, we can do that? I'm like, yes, in between our coaching calls, show up in the Facebook group, get coaching on whatever you need by, I'll type it back to you. You can be coached there just as well. And as a matter of fact, Carrie, a student in the Christian Life Coach Academy, actually started her business as a teacher. So she could never come to the live group coaching calls for coaching, and went on to create her business in such a way that she actually did not continue and go back for the next school year, because she now knows that she'll be building her coaching business full time. And that was simply through the written coaching in the Facebook group. Okay. So, once again, if you are ready to make that first $3,000 or $30,000 in your life coaching business, you're going to want to join the waitlist for the Christian Life Coach Academy, which is my lifetime access program with weekly live group coaching and daily written coaching. Enrollment will begin November 1st. I believe it's November 1st. I might have that wrong. We're just going to go with it. But when you're on the wait list, you're going to have exclusive access to the program beforehand through early enrollment. And that is very important because I am limiting spots for enrollment in that November cohort. So go ahead and join the community by waitlist so that you can hop in and make your first 3K, 10K, 25K, and 50K. Right? That's what you want. I know that. Now, if you are a member of the Academy and you want to accelerate your results by working together one-on-one and in a small group of other women doing the same, there are currently a few spots remaining for the Christian Life Coach Mastermind, which is my 90-day business accelerator. We begin October 25th. You can apply. I'm putting the links in the show notes, but I do want to just put this disclaimer there. While I'm recording this, there are the 3 spots available. If those are full, definitely go ahead and apply, because that is going to be the wait list for the next round. And you're going to want to make sure you have priority enrollment there. I do want to give a big congrats to Christian Life Coach Academy student Emily, who posted in our Facebook community after using the 12-hour Business Basics bonus course. She said, "I did it. I created a website on Google Sites. If you have a few moments to check it out and see if anything needs to be edited or is hard to see, I would appreciate it. I know things view differently on a laptop versus phone, so I want to make sure it's easy to read and scroll." And I just want to congratulate you specifically, Emily, because I know how Emily has been working at this in her business. She's an organizing coach for quite some time, and has tried multiple things, and she finally has it up and running. And I actually have a course in the Academy. It's a free bonus when you enroll during a certain period of time. And she used that course to create a website. Yes, I even help you do that in the Academy. So thanks so much for being here. Go out and embrace being a beginner, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.